Hey, what's up? This is your girl, Taylor Wilde. Welcome back to Wilde On Season 5, the podcast where you get the insider scoop of the weird, wild world of wrestling and witchcraft on Wednesdays. Today's guest is smooth as velvet. Not only is she a spiritual sister, but she is a warrior of the squared circle and a manifestation superstar. She comes from a bloodline of fighters, a woman who has lived a life of both darkness and light. The member of her family who is going to end the cycle of generational trauma. She has taken that life force and applied it to a career as a dancer and now a full-time AEW superstar. She is proof that you can never underestimate a woman's power or intuition. She radiates positivity in the ring, on TikTok, and amongst her peers. Ladies and gentlemen, my girl, Red Velvet. You are good buddies with some girls I've had the pleasure of working with. One that I'm currently working with, Kylan King. She has nothing but amazing things to say about you.
I can say the same about her. She's like one of my best friends. I love her too.
And you're doing all the TikTok dances with former Knockout, now AEW superstar, Kiera Hogan.
Heck yeah, that's another one of my best friends. It's like my sister too. I love her. Love her. We have so much fun doing these TikToks. I love it.
It's such a good release to do something non-wrestling related in that environment.
We both love to dance. So it's like a moment where like, okay, if we're already done with what we're doing in the day, you know, we're like, all right, let's learn this little choreo. Let's just have fun. And I think the girls love it too. They're always walking by when we're recording them. Sometimes they get in them and stuff like that. So it's just something nice and refreshing to just cheer everybody up.
Totally. You know? And I think everyone grows so much from doing something a little bit silly, a little bit non-wrestling related together, even though you know each other through wrestling.
For sure. Yeah, totally.
So you've had a pretty successful couple of years. You are now an AEW staple. How has the journey been up to this point?
I always say like my journey with AEW was just organic. It just started really random. I went in as an extra and I actually went in because I saw a dark match that Kylan had.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, you know, she's there. Like, this would be cool. I want to try it out. And I went as an extra and then they just kept calling me back. I just went and I had a mindset that I was like, okay, I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm going over there to do my job, do what I have to do, but always perform at 110 and we'll see what comes out. And thankfully it just went from there, you know, went on, then came on the Shaq match with Shaq and Cody and Jade. And that kind of took off from there. I think at the time, I didn't realize it was my first big company and working for TV and stuff like that. So I was learning as I was going. You know, everyone was seeing my mistakes and all these things. But I think that moment, looking back now, was a really big opportunity that I was given. And I was really relaxed. I didn't know how big of a deal it was until I did it all. And that's what got me like signed full-time salary with them. So it was great. And it's been great since then. I've been a part of every women's tournament that's been going on there. I was on the first ever Rampage against Britt in Pittsburgh. That was something I remember. First time I ever had everybody booing me. But AEW, just my experience with them, it's just been great. It's just been like going. And I'm so grateful. I've never had to force anything. Things just happen organically. And at least for me in AEW, it just always molds together. And I'm pretty good at like just riding the wave and going with stuff like that. I like being uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, cool. This is a chance to do something new. Let's just tackle it. You know, why be fearful? Life is too short.
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to speak to you, one, because you're incredibly talented and I respect everything you've done wrestling wise. But Kylan said that you are a very spiritual person and you were the one who kind of booped her on the head. And just listening to what you're saying, you sound so much like, you know, the universe put you in the right place at the right time. And you know, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So you're not scrutinizing, you're not analyzing every step of the way. You know you're meant to be here. You know your self-worth. Is that what, like, it's a huge deal what you've done. And especially, like you said, you probably didn't realize the magnitude of your position in the company, and boom, just happened for you like that.
Ironically, I got really into like manifesting and collecting crystals and just changing my mindset before I got to AEW. Actually, I was just starting off as an extra, and I had a friend that she was like an event coordinator. I used to dance before. So I started dancing with her. I did like events, parties, and she was really big on like manifesting and all these stuff. And I was like so intrigued by it. When she used to talk to me at first, I never understood what she was talking about. I actually thought she was like a little, I'm like, ah. And then I sat down with her and she taught me like, manifesting and how to write my goals and all these stuff. And I honestly think because I was able to change my mindset and I was so full open arms to everything that she was teaching me and learning about it, I think that's why my beginning journey with AEW became so successful, because I had my mind just in the right place at the right time. I don't think had I crossed paths with her before starting that I'd be where I am today, or had gotten to where I got to without less stress. Because I mean, just changing the way your mind thinks and being open to what the universe gives you just makes a huge difference. Like manifesting to me is like number one on the things I do. People are like, oh, well, just thinking you want something, that's kind of crazy. I was like, no, like what you focus your energy on is super important. And I kind of like got Kylan into that too. I'm still learning. I can't say like I know so much, but it was like we bonded a lot through that at Jacksonville, because we were together all the time. We roomed together all the time. And I was just kind of like, yeah, like this is a really stressful situation because we're all competing for like that one spot to get the job, to get signed. So it becomes stressful. And I was like, this is what I do. I write down my goals. And I'm super grateful for my life coach because she helped me out like a ton. And now I can't imagine my life if I didn't have that type of mentality. I think certain situations would have like already knocked me out of the way had I not. Like the way you think really sets you up to fail or to succeed.
In the beginning, it was all about let go, let flow, because if you're holding on, even when you're manifesting, if you're fixating on something so hard, you're actually creating like a lack mentality. You just have to visualize it, know it's for you, do the work, but then you have to let go, let flow. Like you cannot control the outcome.
Yeah, totally. My life coach said that to me because we used to write everything every day. And I used to write in all my manifestations, like I will be signed full time to All Elite Wrestling. And that's really what I wanted. And she was like, hey, like when you go every day there every week, take it day by day. She's like, do not become obsessed with it. If you become obsessed with it, you're actually drawing negative energy. And she was right. Like I was like, you know what? Okay, like this is the ultimate goal that I want, but I'm just going to focus on it day by day and just kind of like, you have to let go. That's so true, because sometimes we think manifesting is just like directly thinking, but you become obsessed and you're bringing negative actual energy to it. So yeah, you have to obviously see it and like let it go and just trust the universe. And ever since I've been like, it's kind of weird. I'm trusting something I can't see or, but just letting go
it's hard.
Made life so much easier. Yeah, you have to let go because in reality, you don't have control of anything on this world, even like when you come in and when you go. Yep. So once you start letting go of that fear of just like, I'm going to be vulnerable and let what the universe gives me and like thinking positive about it, game changer, 100%. Super game changer.
I love that you manifested your position with AEW. I think we're, as a generation, as professional women in professional wrestling, we're becoming more confident and talking about our spiritual practices. But someone like yourself, and even Dewdrop, when she was in NXT, she would tell herself every day when she woke up, she'd just say, okay, I'm just going to SmackDown today. I'm going to be going to TV soon. And she had no idea when she was being called up, and literally like switching her mindset from I want to I am. She literally got called up in like 2 weeks. It was crazy.
I wish I would have looked for it earlier but I had a notebook that I wrote with my life coach, and we had goals, and she said it's good to put like expiration dates on your goals, because if not, they're just goals that are hanging around. And I remember at the time I was like based on a storyline with Brandy and Anna Jay, so I was like, I'm gonna have a TV match. And it's crazy to look back at the notebook at how many things have checked off. And it's just insane to me. But yeah, putting definitely like a due date kind of gets your mind prepared. Because if not, you're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then
Yeah.
time goes by and you have so many goals that you never even like, okay, did this get done? Did this get done?
Mm.
But yeah, I just wake up every day and just like, all right, especially like the days before TV,
Yeah.
I make it like my business to get up in the morning and like meditate first and just like clear my mind. I'm not going to worry about what's going to happen. Okay, if I go to TV this day, because some days, you know, you go and you're on a fixed storyline. So you know what's okay, I know I'm doing this. And some days you just go, maybe you have a dark match, maybe you get put in a situation. The card is always subject to change.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just every morning try to reset myself because some days they go long. And if you don't get yourself in a mindset, you're just like, I say a chicken with their head cut
Oh,
off.
yeah.
So being one with my mind has changed me as a person, not just as a wrestler, as a person, and how I deal with situations. It's insane.
I
like
love that.
how I used to be to now, how I used to think even when I was younger to now. I was
Oh,
like, why didn't I figure this out earlier? But timing is everything.
You couldn't tell 20-year-old me, you couldn't tell 15-year-old me to take this mentality towards my life. What you said resonated so much with me. The events coordinator that kind of got you into this journey, you said when you first heard her talk, you were a bit like, bitch sounds crazy.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I didn't know if she was just kind of like, not loopy, but just like the way she spoke, I didn't understand. And I think she picked up on after that I didn't know much about that. So then after I was like, oh, she totally made sense. But people who don't know are just kind of like, okay, like you're just, what are you talking about?
I know.
But it works.
It does work. And I found myself the same thing. My best girl, Chrissy Vane, who I was in developmental with a million years ago, she basically kickstarted me on this journey like about 3 years ago. It was always there, but, you know, ebbed and flowed and all those other things. I just thought, God damn it, she seems out to lunch. Like, I can't act like that. I can't say these things. Like, people will think I'm like losing my marbles. And here I am, an outed witch, like talking to other people. Do you find yourself in the same boat? Whereas when you first got into this line of thinking, it was like, I sound crazy. And now you're completely that person talking all woo woo.
Oh, definitely. I'm definitely that person. And to my surprise, a lot of people are into it. Like they understand. Before, you know, when my life coach was talking to me, I had no idea what she was talking about. But now wrestlers like Kylan and I bond a lot over that. I bond a lot with Abaddon over that as well. Like we all took like a nice big trip to the crystal store when we were on Jacksonville. It was great. So now I find myself talking to other people like that, but I try to just kind of like put it to their current situation and examples, because if you're just talking about like, well, I manifest and I do this and they've never done it, there will be no connect. They almost like, some people will just write you off. They don't understand. So I try to like put it to my friends and my sisters in a way where like, I'm not trying to step on their toes or their boundaries or their religion beliefs. Just like, this is the way I think. And if I was you in this situation, my mind, and then just kind of like that. What I do really like about why I'm so spiritual in this aspect is because it's not a knock to anyone in their religion or anything. I grew up Catholic, like I went to church and all that. I really was intrigued with like meditating and how that's not forced. You can come in and out from that and there's no judgment. Like growing up, like if I missed a day at church, like my mom would be like, oh, you know, so it's like, I like that you can manifest, you can write all your goals, you can all do this stuff. And there's no like, you're secluded to that's all you have to do. You can come and go as you do it, and just very free-willed. And that's what I like, because I don't like to feel like maybe someone's forcing me to think a certain way. So
and there's no consequences in spirituality. Hypothetically, like there's no sins, let's say. The only person you're letting down is yourself. It's all about being the best version of you and reaching your highest power. And I think that's kind of beautiful, because really you're doing the world a service by being the best version of you and putting that positivity out into the world, versus everything you do you're supposed to feel like guilt laden about.
Yeah, totally. That's the part I like the most. Like you couldn't have said it better. Like there is no consequences, and it's really an internal journey, and it's a beautiful thing. Like I wish when someone doesn't know, you can't explain. They have to just feel it and go through it. But the spiritual journey is it's beautiful, and I'm so grateful that the universe brought all these type of everyone that's into it, you know, and taught me about it. And I joined the girl group with this girl that I used to dance with in high school, and she has an all-girl group that's called like Limitless Goddesses.
I love
so
this.
We speak about all that, and not just like, you know, it's not just like, oh, collecting crystals, because some of the girls don't do that, but we all speak with each other. We meditate, we manifest, we write goals. It's like a big woman empowerment thing, and it just, that also, like, just that life brought her back in my life as well. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, once you just let go and let the universe do what it's supposed to do, that's it.
You find your people.
Yeah.
Or the universe brings your people to you. It's incredible. So how often do you get together with this group, which sounds fantastic, by the way?
It's every Wednesday. So depending on like TV wise, I try to, her thing starts at 7. So she does Zoom because it's for everyone around the world. So I can give you that link as well if you ever want to tune in or anything like that. I think it's a beautiful thing, even for women.
Love to.
Like, it's on all women groups. So sorry to the guys, but you know, it's to get personal and women empowerment and stuff like that. But she does it every Wednesday at 7 Eastern time. So if I'm not on the road that week, I try to log in. If I am on the road, I try to log in, but TV days are hectic. But it's every Wednesday. And I was doing her girl group every Wednesday when I was injured with my hip injury and I was at home. And that put me in such a different place because injuries cause depression and all that. And just being surrounded by women, and they were just so cheerful and like, don't be down and this and that. And just relating with someone, like, we went to high school together. So to see what she's blossoming now and how she's spreading joy. She used to tour with Pitbull and all that. And she dropped all that because she said that she felt that she had a calling that told her that she was supposed to do something different. She was supposed to spread more into the universe, and that's what she's been doing now. She goes to schools to talk, and she's great. Like, she really did her calling. She's like, this is where I'm supposed to be. And it was crazy because dance was her entire life, and she thought that's what she was going to do, kind of like me. And then she just joined this spiritual thing, and I love that it's never invasive to anyone. There's no force to anyone. She says, if you want to journal, you want to speak, no, okay, next person. It's really good. I love this.
I would be so honored if you sent me the link. I'd love to participate. Yay! So tell me a little bit about your jump from dance to wrestling. What was the transition?
Started dancing since I was in middle school. And I went from middle school to a magnet program in high school. And then from there, I went to a college that was all dance. Did all that. I joined a dance company when I was 18, traveled the world. Didn't know how good I had it at the time, you know, because I was young and all that stuff. But then I got into a relationship and it ended badly. And I was so young. So that took like a pivotal, just my emotions. I got into like a deep depression and I kind of just quit everything. And I turned on the TV that day. I had not watched wrestling in years. I watched wrestling since I was 9 with my mom. So I watched it for years, and then you get entertained, and dance is a big part of my life. So I stopped watching, and I had quit dance. I was like kind of like in a bad place, and I switched the channel. And at the time, WWE was casting for Tough Enough. So they were like, you don't need any experience. You just have to submit a video that you are tough enough. The training doesn't matter. So because I watched wrestling, I was like, okay, cool. I kind of geeked out. I was like, I don't know what's going to come of this, but let's just try. So I went over to my friend's backyard. We used to watch wrestling together. And he's like, all right, what are we going to do? How are you going to film this? And all this stuff. And at the time I had just kind of, you know, moved on from the breakup. I dyed my hair red. That's like when my hair was super, super red. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And he's like, all right, first up, like when we do this video, like, well, what's your name? Like, you have to have a wrestling name. And I was like, oh, maybe. My friends used to joke, like, my alter ego when I went out and stuff was like Red Violet. Oh. He's like, that's corny. I don't like it. It doesn't stick. He was like, what about Red Velvet? He's like, your hair's super red now. You have beautiful chocolate skin. He's like, you remind me of like a red velvet cake. And I was like, you know what? That kind of rolls off the tongue. So that's where the name came from. We were just really joking. And the video, it went well. I got to like about like the second casting round and stuff. I didn't get on the show, but everyone was like, hey, like, you know, the video came out and it went viral and it went good. Like, have you actually thought about wrestling? And I was like, yeah, but I never knew wrestling schools existed. Like when you just watch wrestling, especially like at the time WWE, that's all you know. You don't know like how close something can be. So I
Totally.
went, I did my research, and I ended up joining La Rosa. She was training just at an MMA gym. She used to have a school, but it like closed. She closed it down. So she was just at an MMA gym. I
Okay.
like met her one day. She taught me like how to forward roll, bump, all this stuff. And then she went to Japan, and unfortunately she got hurt.
Mm.
So she had to get knee surgery. And she sent me to my trainer now, JB Cool from Miami, Florida. So I used to live in Miami. I'm in Orlando now.
Mm-hmm.
But I started training with him, and it was just from that moment on, it was the rest was history. He laughs all the time because I'm skinny now, but when I went to join, it was 2015. I probably, kid you not, was weighing maybe like 95 pounds. My
Wow.
inspiration was actually Sasha because she was so small. And I was like, I can do this. Like, I looked up to her. I still do, looked up to her when she first started. She was so tiny and she was doing so many things. So I was like, there's no way, like, I can't do this. So she was a
Yep.
big inspiration. And I signed up, and he said that he saw me the first day, and he was like, there's no way, like, she's gonna keep coming back. He said my bumps were like bad. Of course, your first, second day, your bumps aren't perfect. But he was like,
Totally.
you came back the first day. He's like, then you came back the second day, then you came back second week, and then the third month. And then I went every day. I literally would go to the wrestling school Monday through Saturday. Saturdays were like privates.
Wow.
I did that, and I just got laser focused. If I want something, I go all in. I don't believe
Mm-hmm.
in like half-assing it. So
Mm-hmm.
I took myself to wrestling school 5 days a week. I had a job. So then I turned my job into like, they did overnight. So then I
Okay.
switched to the overnight shift so I could continue to wrestle and then wrestle on the weekends. I did a lot. So when AEW signed me, I cried a lot because I had to
Oh,
sacrifice so much and worked. I
baby.
was driving at the time from Jacksonville to film in Daly's place to Miami. Like, I used to make the drive with Kylan as well. That's how we got so close. We used to like cut the drive. She used to drive from Jacksonville halfway and halfway. And I would get home, take a shower, 10 o'clock at night, go in, work, get up at 8 in the morning. So like when I actually quit my job before I got signed. I was like,
Oh,
I'm going to get signed. Like, I put all the marbles out, and I was like, I'm just going to quit my job and continue going. And I was still an extra. And like, the universe had it for me because that would have been a bad gamble if it didn't go the way I wanted it. But I just felt it in my heart, and I felt
yeah.
like I had been working so hard. I was like, I'll continue to come back, and if not, I'll just do something else. But I used to work at a check cashing place, and I walked in that day, and I was like, I got signed. I lied about it, but I was like, I had already manifested it. So I was like, I got signed, and she's like, great, because I knew also that was the only way they were gonna let me leave without asking any questions. So I was like, yeah, got signed, got to start Monday, got to go. But I manifested it because like maybe a week or two after that, I got my first, they call it like a tier 0 contract. And then
Okay.
came the Shaq match, and then I got salary. But yeah, that day that I quit was like a huge weight off my shoulders. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew that no matter what, like I was going to make it happen. So
Girl, there is something so powerful about saying something like the faking it till I'm making it. Like, I am signed. I gotta go.
yeah,
And it really putting those words out there, like your word is your wand. That's happened to me twice in my life and in the last year. And I realize the power in that. And it's because you really do believe it.
yeah,
But you also know in order to change your situation, to have a different life, you have to basically kill your old life. And that
yeah.
means saying it. Like the whole faking it till you make it is so fucking incredibly powerful. And I didn't
Yeah.
understand it.
Absolutely. And I said it to me. I was very fearful. I went to my sister, I went to my mom, and I was like, I'm about to drop my regular job, and I'm winging it, but I feel it in my heart. I know. And they were like, we're here for you. You're not going to sleep in the
Oh,
car. You're not going to be homeless. And that was my fear. I knew a bunch of friends that had given up everything and were living in their cars, and like it just wasn't happening. And I was determined to like, for the time being, I'm going to keep my job while still like, my trainers used to always say, you got to sacrifice it all and this and that. And I was like, not like I was going to find a back door, but I was going to prove to them that I could
yep.
make it while still having a job and not living out of my car. And I did that. And that was the biggest pat on the back. Cause when I let it all go, I was like, it's now or nothing. I'm quitting
Yeah.
my job. So either if it doesn't work out, I got to go find another job because I'm not coming back to this job with my head down, like I failed and I never had to
Right.
go back. So I still see them when I go see my mom, and she pays her bills there and stuff. So they're always
Oh,
so happy to see me. And I was like, yeah, you know, it worked out. But the power of the mind, that day, I had to go to work that day. I had been in my wrestling school. They were filming wrestling matches that day, and I was surrounded by everybody. And then I had to leave early because I had to go into work. And that day I just was like, I walked into work and I was like, just picked up the phone while I was at work and called my boss. And I was like, today's going to be my last day. I got signed. I was just like, I got to get out of here. I'm going to get signed somewhere. I just can't stay here. But it was the best decision I ever made, truthfully.
Well, I just want to hold space for this whole situation and say congratulations. It's incredible.
Thank you. It was so worth it. So worth it. I'd do it again.
And
I'd do it again if I had to.
Yeah, you would take all the risks. It was, well, obviously it's been well worth it.
Yeah, totally.
So would you say your highlight of your career so far at AEW was your match against Britt?
It's weird because I've had different highlights. So the one that people to this day still talk about is the match with Shaq, because that was like the biggest. I mean, it was Shaq, like, you know, and everyone's like, you're not nervous? And I didn't know it was such a big deal because it was Shaq. Like, I'm from Miami. Like, I love Shaq. He was, you know, so I didn't see it like that. He was the sweetest. But I didn't see how big of a deal it was. And Britt actually told me one day, she was talking to me, she was like, the company called on you to lead a brand new person who is now is their TBS champion. She was like, the company led on you to do that. You know, Brandy trusted you to take her spot. So like, hold your head up high, you know. That I think was like the beginning of where like it was becoming a stamp that I wanted to be a part. That was always my goal. And that's what I always was telling them. I want to be a concrete part of this division. I want to watch this division grow. I want to be a part of it. And I think that was the first part. Then once I think the roster started seeing that I was someone that they could work with, someone that they could trust in the ring, someone that they could trust their body with me. Then more opportunities came. Then came the debut of Rampage with Britt. We were the main event of the first ever. So win or loss, I was in the first ever and the main event. So yeah, that was a really big deal as well. And then it just kept, you know, every time I just, you know, I'm grateful to be there. I just like something else happens that makes me even more grateful. Like I was a part of the TBS tournament to crown TBS champion. I was part of the first ever Owen Hart tournament. So even though like being a part of those and not winning them, I can always like keep that close. Right now, I think the biggest thing has been my action figure. First ever action figure came out. So
that's so exciting.
Yeah, that was like, people are like, how do you feel? And I was still like, in shock. I was kind of like, oh, I mean, it's me. So I was just like, it's cool because it's me. It's me. But to everyone else and my family, they're like, yeah, but like that will be there forever. Like belts come and go. So I think the highlight right now has been the action figure and how well it's been doing. And just the fact that, you know, I'm still kind of fairly new to the company and I got one. And that means, you know, they trust me and I'm an important part of the roster. So that makes me feel really nice. So it's been going great so far. I can't complain. Win or losses, like people complain about that. I don't, because you know, every day I get to go to bed and I'm living my dream. So wins and losses, they come and they happen. If you're losing, you better learn. So, you know, I learn from every loss and I just keep going. I'm doing what I love and that's what I have to focus on. Sometimes we get sidetracked. We're like, well, I want to be number one and I want to be champion and I want to be at the top. And that rotates. Like not everyone stays at the top all the time. You know, that was a big thing. Like Cody instilled in me when he took me under his wing at the time of the match. And he was like, listen, like people being at the top, it rotates. He's like, time comes, you'll be at the top, you'll be in the middle, you'll be at the bottom. He's like, just remember why you're here and why you love it. And that's what I try to hold close. Like, okay, today might not be my day. Today I might not win, but I'm here and other people would kill to be in the position that I'm in. So I got to stay grateful to what I have.
It's so inspiring. And I hope all of our listeners, if they've taken anything out of this conversation, it's let go, let flow, and put that positivity out.
I like that one. I like that.
You know, you throw that positive mindset out there and that's what comes back to you. Don't block your joy.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that comes too with just even like the roster. Like I'm just always so happy for the girls. I never like side eye anyone. I never want to wish anyone bad because all I can control is me and what I do in the ring and how I treat them in the ring and their body. Everything else, like I've been big on like what you give is what you get back. And if I'm here saying like, oh, look at her, like, I hope this happens to her, like, it's gonna happen right back to me, because the universe doesn't have, it doesn't, can't switch who's saying what. It just gives what you're asking. So I'm very like, I cheer everybody on. Like, I want everyone to succeed, because we need each other, everyone, no matter what.
Yep.
So I try to keep that positivity. And I think that helped out a lot when I first got there, because I was just doing what I was told, and I wanted to make everyone look good, and making everyone look good make me look good. So, you know, getting people to understand that, and that you can be vulnerable and you can be selfless and not be selfish with the other person, both people win, and it just comes out so much better, everything. Like, there's no need for negativity or jealousy. I don't believe in that. I never was one. I'm the girl that some girl is in the club bathroom, and if she looks good, I'm like, girl, you look great. Like, you want me to snap a picture of you? Because why not embrace others? Why not share joy? There's too much bad things going around for us to just keep throwing negativity and jealousy at each other. Even women in wrestling, we've gotten this far. Like, why should we backtrack and push each other down the stairs, instead of like focusing that we got this far because we held it together? You know, it's a team effort.
And negativity, that kind of hate, judgment, is toxic. It really is. And it festers and it catches on. So you said, you know, the only thing you can control and the only person you can control is you. That's such a huge life lesson, because you are responsible for your happiness.
Nobody else. Absolutely. And that's why I don't believe to share negativity with anyone else, because all I can do is, like, I always remember how they would say, it's not what people tell you, it's how you make them feel. And if someone makes me feel some type of way very nicely, like, I'm always going to hold that person near and dear. And I try to be that person for everyone in the locker room. Like, I might not know you that well. If you're crying, like, I'm here for you. Like, I would take the shirt off my back and give it to anybody, because life is just so short. And when we focus on like what we really have and how quickly it could be gone, like, just a couple of weeks ago, we lost Jade Briscoe. Like, you know, he was like, life is just so short to be focusing on the bad things. So I just always say, okay, like, I can only control how I act. So I'm going to focus on just spreading positivity. And if someone doesn't give that back to me, I have learned, like, there is boundaries, because there was a point where I was almost too positive, and just even people were coming at left field with negativity, and I just always was seeing the good side of them. Now I can see the good side, see the truth of the type of person that they are, and decide if I want to let them in or not. I would not wish them any bad, but I will not, like, keep you around if you were not on the same vibration, I would say.
Boundaries are huge. Boundaries are really hard, especially when you're a sensitive person. You're naturally positive. You want everybody to feel good around you, but there is such thing as energy vampires. And if they're not high vibe with you, they're, you know,
suck you dry. Yeah, energy's huge. I tell people, I can walk in a room and people are like, you're always on guard. And no, I'm just very aware, and I can tell based off energy of the room if someone's having a bad day, or I'm like, I'm very intuitive too. So if someone's energy's off, I won't be like, okay, I'm Xing you out. I might lean over, see how you are and stuff like that. But sometimes there's people's energies that you're just like, they don't want anyone around. So you're just better off staying out of the way. But to me, energy is really real. Like, you can feel automatically when someone, even kids, I love kids. And I think they're always drawn to me because, like, they know that I enjoy how they don't pay attention to any of the stuff that we pay attention to now, just because of so much they're just so themselves. And I kind of try to keep that internally when I think about myself. Like, let me keep my inner child with me still, because you're fresh. You don't have any like bad traumas and stuff like that. So I spoke with Kylan too. She was going to turn 30. And I was like, oh, don't you feel like you're getting old? She's like, no, I'm excited. Like, 30s is like when you really start living. And man, when I turned 30 last year, my life changed in every aspect, like partner wise. And I got out of a bad situation. And since then, like, my mindset has been like, I've had to change it, because it could have been make or break had I not changed my mindset.
And I promise you, girl, life only gets better with age. It does.
I can't wait. I want to age like fine wine. I used to be like, oh, I'm getting old,
girl.
but now I appreciate I appreciate the adult life, because I'm in control. as a child, you're just a kid. So you're
Yes.
kind of just following along with your parents, and your parents are your parents, but sometimes they learn as they go as well. And, so now
Hmm.
I have the chance to live my life the way I want it. And I'm in full control of what I give to other people as well. Even my mindset down the line of how I want to raise my kids and how I want them to be. And I just
Hmm.
want them to be free spirited and 100% themselves. I don't care what that
Yeah.
is at all. I just want them to feel free and not like I'm forcing them to be something or act a certain way because, we grow up already with traumas because our parents had traumas and they're learning and we're learning, but it's like breaking that cycle.
Yep, that one. And that's why I am the way I am and you are the way you are. And it takes one person in the family to break the generational trauma cycle. But this is your journey. This is what you were put on this earth to do, and it's the work, and you're doing it, and it's beautiful. So keep it
I
up.
appreciate it.
Okay, let's do my top 10 tailor-made questions. It's not a speed round, so don't feel rushed. What is your go-to road song? What is your like guilty indulgence?
If I want to brighten up the day right away, I have to put Doja Cat. Like my boyfriend knows. Doja Cat
Doja
is just, she's my spirit animal, I say. That's like my alter ego. So I'm gonna go with Doja Cat. If I need to if I'm in a funk or anything, Doja is where I go to. That's my girl.
It's really funny because as you were saying that, I was thinking before you even said it, I was like, I feel like Doja Cat's her spirit animal.
Totally. I love it. Her music, it just gets me, it makes me feel powerful and sexy and strong at the same time. So it just always, I think if I'm ever in a bad mood, I just have to turn on some Doja Cat and she just gets me back on my bad bitch vibes.
I love it. Okay. Do you know what your sun sign, moon sign, and rising sign is?
Probably not. We could figure that out.
Okay.
I think that's what I need to get more into, like learning. That's what I would like to learn. I've had where I've read about like my birthday and stuff like that, but with wrestling, you get wrestler's brain, and it kind of, with too many hits to the head, I forget.
Well, when's your birthday?
I am a Gemini.
So you a two-faced crazy
That's what
bitch.
people want to say, but I think I'm one side of like I have my two sides, but like I feel like people only get the other side when they like true wholeheartedly hurt me. That's when they get like angry side. But I'm too nice.
I'm too nice. Where were you born?
Like location? Yeah, Miami, Florida.
So your sun sign, your like zodiac sign, what we all grow up knowing is the date of birth. And that is how you present to the masses. And that's who would get the Gemini. But you actually have a Cancer moon, which is really interesting because your moon is how you present in relationship. So that's your romantic partners, your family, your best friends. Cancers are so sensitive. They feel everything so wholly.
I think it's funny that you say that because my sister's a Cancer. Both my best friends are, both my sisters are Cancers and both my best friends are Cancers. So I guess I'm like drilled in with them. I can totally see that I'm a very, very emotional person. I express myself through my emotions in good ways. I love to cry. People say I'm a big crybaby. I don't care because I think I feel bad for people and sometimes like they don't know how to release those emotions, and I feel a lot better after I cry. So I love being a big crier. I don't care.
Oh, I think it's beautiful if you can cry. It's so like cleansing. You get that shit out. I am a terrible crier, but we're getting it. It's part of my healing journey. We're getting there. What is your secret supernatural power?
Oh my God.
I think you touched on it already. You're like an energy reader.
Definitely energy reader with people and emotions. Like I can just feel a lot if someone's like, it's energy, I guess. Yeah, I'm like an energy reader pretty well.
I love that. And I think it's so, it comes with your spiritual journey. Like you realize you really have to protect yourself and the energy vampires. Do you believe in ghosts? And if so, do you have a story?
I do believe in ghosts. And I do have a story, which it was so weird. I was in such a bad place. During the time of the breakup, I was like fighting with my ex at the time, whatever. We hung up the phone and I fell asleep on the bed and I woke up and saw, I guess what people say is like the Grim Reaper in front of the door, but I
Mm.
knew it wasn't for me. My sister was out that day.
Okay.
So my first instinct, I just like started crying. I closed my eyes, I looked again, and it was still there, but it wasn't like I didn't get a sense of like that I was in any type of harm. So I picked up the phone and I called
Okay.
my sister and she was out. So I said, "You need to come home right now. I don't know why, but you need to come home." That's the only thing I feel like I've seen. I haven't even seen good ghosts because there's good ghosts. I think there's good ghosts. I think I do believe sometimes like people, I believe that people's bodies, if they're, still in limbo, they're around and stuff like that. People have seen things move.
Yep.
I totally believe in that. I haven't seen it or experienced it yet, but that was
Mm-hmm.
the one time, yeah, that I guess you could say that was like a ghost. I don't know if I want to see a ghost. I'm always scared that it's a bad ghost.
Well, I think actually like spirits are a lot of just energy. And I don't think it's ever what the
Yeah.
movies make it out to be. I think it's an energy. I think it's a presence. But I think it's really interesting that you saw something like the Grim Reaper or something that felt more demonic or dark, because when you're in a
Hmm.
bad place, that's when things that were not of this life, like demonic, negative entities, that's when they like latch onto you. So that was like a real warning shot. And it's so good that you got out of that situation and all was good. But do you
Oh
sage?
yeah.
Because that happened to me.
I'm
And
a sage.
okay, like, okay, good. I'm
Yeah,
a
I'm a
sage.
proud sager. I sage it all. I have it now. I haven't done it too much lately because I haven't really been home. But yeah,
Yeah,
I love to burn my incense and my candles. Like
me
I
too.
love that.
What is the most embarrassing moment you've ever had in the ring?
I kid you not, probably, and it's funny because nobody probably would have known. This past Wednesday, I had my match with Jade, and I believe she dropped me
Yep.
for the fall away slam. It was either the fall away slam
Yep.
or she slammed me on something, and I kind of peed a little bit, and it was the first time I was wearing white gear, and I remember just like feeling
No.
like, oh my God, like I usually wear like black or reds, and I was like, oh, I hope like I didn't
Hmm.
like pee enough to wear, and thankfully not, because I looked around, I kind of like during the match, like touched and stuff like that. It wasn't enough, but that probably was like the most embarrassing. I don't think I've ever felt like there's been times where I felt like my throat's been really, really dry and I've been at the point of throwing up, but I've
Yeah,
never thrown up. But I have peed a couple of times. Like when they've slammed me super hard, happened. Yeah,
totally. It's a rite of passage. If you have not peed a little in the ring as a woman,
that's
you're not
true.
trying
I
hard enough.
absolutely. I think everyone has peed a little at least.
100%. So, in the same vein, what is your least favorite bump? What is your least favorite move to take?
I guess this is my least because I never take it. Backdrops.
Yeah.
Oh no, I had
Mm,
a friend training once. Well, it wasn't at training; it was at a live show, and they gave him a
yeah.
backdrop, and he used to take beautiful backdrops. Every week he was practicing them because I was gonna be like the spot of the show, and somehow he
Yeah.
over rotated and like landed on his like feet, and then his feet gave out, and he hit his head, and he just like stiffened up, and I was like, I'm not taking any more backdrops. Those are just, and I'm so small. So any backdrop from even like a
Yes.
smaller, it had to be someone smaller than me to be small, but everyone is bigger than me. So backdrops, like, oh, they just feel so, it's a lot. It's a lot of air.
It's a
And I take
huge
some
bump.
crazy
It's a
bumps.
huge
I trust
bump.
people a lot, I think, only because I danced
Oh,
for so long and
yeah.
had dance partners. So I'm like, there's always, even though this is
Hmm.
kind of crazy, there's always some way I can save myself if they don't. But backdrops, like, those are scary.
Now, we talked about your ride or die, but what is your favorite band or artist? Is it still Doja Cat, or do you have another favorite?
Doja Cat's one of my favorites. Kiana Lede. She's I'm not sure how like she's pretty known, but I just fell in love with her music because I came across YouTube and she was just doing covers of other
Mm.
people, but covers of like hip hop songs that like even Drake Hotline, one of her covers, beautiful. Her voice is
Yes.
beautiful. She's like one of my favorites. Just like I think if I could be anything else, I would have wanted to be a singer because I
Mm.
love music. I can't sing. Don't ask me to sing. I
Same.
can't sing at all. But if I could do anything else, I would have wanted to like maybe be like a singer.
You and
And
I
she just
both.
sings so beautifully.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's when you can't sing that you're like, fuck.
I know. I sing in the car proudly,
Me
terribly, but
too.
like that's like such a stress reliever too. That's probably like my number one thing to do if I'm having a
Mm.
bad day. I'll get in the car, drive, and then sing by myself.
I love it. Name a movie that changed your life.
Well, one of my very favorite top movies is Salt with Angelina Jolie.
That's a good one.
I love all the Taken movies.
Yep.
Yeah. Weird. One movie I think I can watch all the time and never get tired is Focus by Will Smith. Because it has to do with like the mind and just tricking and that movie I really love.
There it is.
That's one of my favorite movies actually.
I love
because it really has to do with like point of view and mind and just how like almost how you can manipulate people to think a certain way or just
totally.
I don't want to give too much if people haven't seen the movie. I don't want to give it away. Great movie. And Will Smith as an actor, he's one of my favorites. So yeah.
Who is your most embarrassing crush of all time?
I did have wrestling crushes because I watched wrestling, but now that I work with people, I'm not going to say those. I used to love Brian. What's his name? Brian from the Backstreet Boys?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. He was one.
That's a good Florida native, too. We like this.
Yep.
Where can our listeners find you on the internet? What are your socials? Any of your sites?
Social media, Instagram is LA_Red Velvet. So La_Red Velvet. Twitter, I believe, is THEE_Red_ Velvet. And that's pretty much what I'm on. You can find me as Red Velvet on TikTok as well. That's a good time if you guys want to see those.
Yay!
That's pretty much what I'm on. Facebook, it's like just for personal and family.
Yep.
So I don't really use that as much. And everyone who's been requesting me on Facebook and I haven't added anyone, I'm sorry. I never really go on it. It's more for family.
Same. Okay, last one. Finish this lyric.
Uh-oh.
Don't worry, I can't sing either. Woman, let me be your woman.
Woman.
Easy!
I can be your woman. I know that one. I was afraid it was going to be a song I didn't know. I was like, oh.
Never. It's been a hot moment, but we finally got some fresh AEW blood back on the Wilde On podcast. I love to keep things diverse because this podcast is truly inclusive. It is genderless. It is it is companyless. I don't care if you have a contract or you're first starting out in the wrestling business. You are all my brothers and sisters. But I really hope you enjoyed that episode of Wilde On with Red Velvet because we talked about so many amazing topics. We hit on spirituality, coming up from a Hard Knocks beginning, manifesting literally your contract, and all the things in between that are weird, witchy, and wild. I would not be able to do this podcast without my badass punk rock girl band, the Wilde On team. My editor and producer, queen, sister, right-hand woman, Rochelle Douris, and my marketing specialist. Guys, okay, look. I would re-record this outro, but I want you to know this is real. I've had a cold for a week. I'm having trouble with sentences. I'm congested. This is organic. This is happening. I'm just a person. A witchy, wild, weird person. So, what I meant to say was my marketing specialist, Madison Golshani. And until next week, keep calm and wild on. Blessed be.